Soon, Warthunder will be getting one of the biggest battleships and two of the biggest submarines to ever set sail in World War II. Even the update is named Leviathan. Despite this, most people seem more interested in the Comanche than history's most iconic beast made out of steel. So why is that? Well, it's no secret that Naval is the weakest of the three major game modes in War Thunder, and most explanations as to why boil down to it simply being boring, which is true, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Let's start with what we see in the hangar, or dock in this case. Already we see two categories of ship where only one of them is actually viable or interesting. A big appeal of War Thunder is unlocking familiar or cool vehicles, which is about 0 of the coastal fleet ships. Small boats, small guns, there isn't much going on here, but the blue fleet is more interesting. The problem with the bigger ships though is that they are slow and boring. It can take as long for a round to land after being fired as it does to load an entirely new round in a tank. And even if that round does land, it'll often do little damage overall. War Thunder is a free-to-play game that is very interested in leeching on a low attention span audience who craves the dopamine hits of seeing target destroyed light up the center of their screen. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't really gravitate well to being a naval sim. Well, a sort of naval sim. It is still very arcadey in plenty of ways, but in terms of actually shooting at people, it feels a little bit too slow. Now, take a mode that is overall not that fun, and remember the normal grind there is for War Thunder, and the problem increases tenfold. Really, it shouldn't be any surprise that no one plays this mode. This is also a compounding issue of fewer players creating longer wait times and sort of demotivating anybody else from even trying to play Naval again. The most fun I did manage to have in Naval wasn't even sailing a ship, but using an airplane to land a torpedo hit. Even though the odds are stacked against you, there's still fun to be had in attempting to use the terrain to avoid the automated AA aboard the enemy ships to land a quick and potentially decisive blow. So basically it was fun because it was the opposite of ship combat. Quick and decisive. High risk, high reward. It actually makes a lot of sense that Gaijin hasn't added submarines to Naval yet because no one would want to play a surface fleet ship if submarines were available. I mean, the U-boat April Fool's event was probably still the best April Fool's event that Gaijin has ever had. I mean, like, come on. It was perfect down to almost the most minute detail. And honestly, the submarines were at a bit of a disadvantage versus the destroyers, but it was still more fun to be in a submarine somehow. If Gaijin wants the naval section of this game to succeed, they kind of need to add more variety to their ships. They're all extremely samey. It's just all destroyers, like the entire way, just destroyers that get better. And they also need to massively overhaul the game modes. I actually kind of want to pick away at what exactly they could do to make it better. Let's start with separating blue and coastal fleets entirely. They have no business facing each other at all. The next we need to better understand what these individual modes could look like, so the coastal fleet can retain most of its current core gameplay. The small boats already lend themselves pretty well to the classic ground RB style game mode and should kind of better resemble it. They're small and fast paced and can even kill other small boats quickly. Now the blue fleet is a little more complicated. Most actual naval battles take place in the wide empty ocean, so it's hard to have map variety if every map was this. But with the coastal fleet removed, a lot of already existing maps become much better because now we could just remove that awkward clump of islands that always exists in the middle of the map. Instead, maps could mostly be dictated by having fewer bigger islands and the weather. I think War Thunder Naval could seriously benefit from having like actually kind of rough seas during battles. Also, borrowing the same game mode where you just take points like from ground RP for like the big ships doesn't make very much sense at all. Forcing players to instead just bring one ship and then die once and then be forced to leave like an air RB might honestly be a better method of doing this. I'm somewhat tempted to say they should add the convoy mode from the April Fool's event with the submarines, but unless they also do actually add submarines, it might not work out so good. But regardless, practically anything would be better than what's already there. So, would the addition of so many capital ships actually save Naval? Of course not, but it's a step in the right direction. Now the Leviathan update isn't just adding more ships, it'll also change the way some of the physics work, especially with how the ammo detonations work. They're simply making it so that ammo detonations are proportional to how much ammo is in that area, which means when you do get hit and you don't have a lot of ammo, you won't explode too much and die instantly. Now while this is cool, it might be interesting for already existing naval players. It kind of increases the time to kill perhaps a bit too much. I mean, naval battles are already a bit of a slog, aren't they? And before I go, I like to say I changed my opinion on the coastal fleet, and sometimes they're kind of cool. Now watch this clip I got on this guy. And I'm out of here. See y'all later.